From James Gunn dropping a bombshell announcement about the latest Superman, to Henry Cavill setting the record straight, here's how he reacted to David Corenswet replacing him in Superman Legacy. The last time we saw Superman take the lead in his own movie was a decade ago, and James Gunn decided it was about time to revamp the story. He just announced the replacement for Henry Cavill, and everyone has a lot of thoughts. The DC Extended Universe fans have been starving for something new, but I don't think they were expecting their favorite Man of Steel to be replaced. Gunn dropped the blockbuster revelation that David Corenswet would be Superman's new star just a few days ago. And get this, Rachel Brosnahan is slated to be his Lois Lane. The two are going to be the stars of Superman Legacy, which is set to release in 2025. Ever since it was announced that James would be the new DCEU creative director, everyone was expecting changes, but nobody thought something this big would happen. When I say the new Big Blue Boy scout casting hit the internet like a truck, I mean it. Even though fans were caught off guard, it makes sense why Henry Cavill isn't making his return. With Peter Safran and James Gunn on a mission to reinvent the DC Universe as we know it, this new casting isn't too surprising. The DCEU as we know it will change. And spoiler alert, it's gonna look a lot like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now that movies are going to follow a chapter-based structure, Superman Legacy is going to mark the launch of the first installment. Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Sounds exciting, right? With all these big changes afoot, fans have really high expectations of Corenswet. The 29-year-old actor is taking on the first leading role of his entire career with this film, so the pressure's gonna be immense. And if you're wondering what the movie's gonna be like, it's going to focus on the life of a young Superman. Things were probably really rocky for the young Kal-El, and the film will follow him as he struggles to balance his Kryptonian powers and his ordinary human upbringing. Fans have wanted this for a long time, but they're questioning whether it was necessary for Cavill to be replaced. We'll get into more of that later. But for now, let's focus on what makes Corenswet a great fit for the role. To kick things off, he looks almost exactly like Henry Cavill. The internet couldn't help but notice that David looks like a younger version of the 40-year-old actor, with some folks going as far as to call him a carbon copy of the older guy. That's not all, though. David Corenswet was selected for the role after a very intense casting process. Things didn't come easy to him, that's for sure. It must have been nerve-wracking to audition in front of Peter Safran and James Gunn together, especially for a role this big. The DC co-chairs made the two actors test for the roles in full costumes and makeup. As if that wasn't scary enough, the actors were only offered limited-time deals that would expire in 2 weeks. David and Rachel had to rush to make their decision. If they hesitated or said no, the iconic roles could have gone to stars like Phoebe Denevere or Nicholas Hoult. One thing's for sure, David Corenswet is very grateful that he secured the part. The whole thing's definitely a dream come true for him. Back in 2019, he said that it's just a pie-in-the-sky ambition to play Superman. Honestly though, good for him, because his dream clearly wasn't as far-fetched as he thought it was. The Hollywood actor went on to talk about the uncanny similarity between him and Cavill, looks-wise of course. When it comes to the kind of actors they are though, the two couldn't be any more different. David described Henry's Superman as dark and gritty. In his own words, he wants to see an upbeat throwback take on everyone's favorite superhero. He even went on to say that he wants the next Superman to be bright and optimistic. Fans are going to see a completely different version of Superman with the next DCEU reboot, and it looks like Cavill's time is over for good. James Gunn and Peter Safran themselves confirmed this and said that the British actor won't be making an appearance at all in the future. The new guys were quick to make the changes they wanted, and didn't budge despite all the smack-talking from fans. People were accusing the new DC filmmaking pair of firing Cavill, but James addressed all of these claims calmly. He said that nobody fired the Man of Steel star, and that Henry was just never cast in the first place. Apparently, he and the rest of the DC Studios team came to the conclusion that the action fantasy star isn't a good fit for the new narrative. Gunn also made sure to clarify that he has no personal problems with the superhero actor, claiming he thinks he's a great guy who happened to get dicked around by a lot of people. Hey, those are James Gunn's words, not mine. The director's not kidding around with those major shakeups for the next line of DCU projects. and he's sure as hell not backing down on his decision to cast a new Superman. The film will start filming in just a few months, so fans can only hope that all these changes are worth it. Right now, though, they're still processing their world being turned upside down. As I mentioned before, people had a lot of thoughts about Henry Cavill not playing Superman anymore. There was a huge outpouring of support and appreciation for our Man of Steel, with fans making the hashtag #HenryCavillSuperman go viral on Twitter. Everyone was emotional about letting the actor go. And what else do you expect? He gave the character a new, unforgettable meaning. One superfan tweeted out that the British actor embodies Superman better than anyone because everything from his aura to his personality just screams Kal-El. The day the new movie and cast were announced, Cavill's fans, both new and old, stormed Twitter with the phrase, "Henry Cavill will always be my Superman." It's honestly insane to think about the impact he's had on so many lives. And since people are having a hard time letting go of their favorite actor, they're also having a really hard time giving David Corenswet a warm welcome. One fan sarcastically commented on how the 29-year-old is just a younger version of Henry and added a snide, "Laughing my ass off, okay?" to top it off. Another saw the perfect opportunity to crack a joke and posted a collage of Henry and David next to a PS5 and a PS5 ripoff. That one went viral and got almost 2,000 likes. Not all fan reactions were negative though, and some users couldn't help but point out that it's not a bad thing for an actor to look like Superman. Now hear me out. Isn't it a good thing that David Corenswet looks like exactly the type of guy to play this role? One person on Twitter said it's dumb to call the Pearl actor Diet Henry, because the two don't look as similar as everyone thinks. But the fact that they look kind of alike isn't the worst thing in the world. Think of every Superman actor that comes to mind, whether it's Brandon Routh, Christopher Reeve, or even Tom Welling. All of them have that signature Clark Kent look to them. And Twitter user JC didn't hesitate to point that out. It's almost like the casting is intentional, guys. Still, there's no denying that fans are sad to see Cavill leave, especially since he didn't get the chance to star in more movies. So many fans couldn't hold back from regretting all of the Brits' wasted potential. Even though the internet had a lot of time to process the news of Henry's departure, the wound's still raw, and the new casting announcement just sprinkled salt on it. As for our Man of Steel, he still hasn't commented on the latest Superman. What he did confirm, though, was how heartbreaking it was to be misled by DC Studios. Up until a few months ago, everyone thought Henry would be reprising his role as the superhero. The 40-year-old even posted an exciting announcement on social media, saying that he's officially back. Sadly, things changed just as quickly. Henry told the world the sad news about him not returning to the franchise via social media, adding that even though the news wasn't easy, he learned to accept it as a part of life. The Hollywood heartthrob said that the changing of the guard is simply inevitable, and I can't help but agree. He also couldn't help but mention the new universe that Gunn and Safran are building, and was kind enough to wish them the best of luck. That must have been bittersweet. After everything, though, Henry couldn't help but remind fans that Superman and all the things he stands for are still around. He also made sure to thank them for the fun ride. What a sweetheart. We'll miss you, Henry. So, there you have it. From Henry Cavill setting the record straight to James Gunn dropping a bombshell announcement, here's how everyone reacted to David Corenswet being cast in Superman Legacy.